Day one, welcome. I am a mental health wellness coach, and this video is all around relationships, personal relationships or work relationships. They can have an effect on our mental health. That can be a positive effect if we are surrounding ourselves with healthy relationships and good people, or it may be having a negative impact on our mental well-being and wellness. So first of all, I'm going to let you into a little secret. And this little secret is around improving relationships. And it's really simple. It's about taking ownership ourselves and responsibility for changing our own behaviour, our own feelings, our own responses. We certainly aren't responsible for other people's behaviour or changing other people, especially in an adult relationship. So the secret is quite simple. It's about making changes for ourselves. Like I say, changing our own behaviour, feelings and responses in relationships. And that can have a huge impact on our relationships. So here's some things you may be feeling. You may be feeling judged by others, or perhaps people looking and talking about you. As I talk, just notice some of these things are internal. There may be negative thinking or taking things personally or comparing yourself to others, pleasing others or not being assertive or worrying about others. So this can then outwardly start to take place as conflict and communication breakdown. So what I'd like you to start thinking about is improving relationships and communication and removing that conflict and feeling of being judged and what others think, and start to work towards healthy work relationships and friendships and family and even meeting new people. And I'm going to introduce you to a fabulous NLP technique called the Meta Mirror. And what this does, it allows you to put things into perspective. And like I say, it allows you to take ownership. And this is, again, taking ownership for what you can change for yourself and not changing other people. Okay, so the Meta Mirror. I'll explain it first, how it works, and then we'll work through it together. So there's 3 roles to be playing in this. And you can either do this in your mind's eye, or some people like to physically get up and get into these 3 different positions that you're going to be playing, these 3 different people. So the person number 1 that you're going to be stepping into is yourself. Person number 2 that you're going to be stepping into is that other person that you may be having difficulty communicating with. And maybe not go with anything too heavy at the moment. Maybe just somebody you've got a little bit of communication issue with. And then what I'd like you to do is be the 3rd person, and that's the observer. So you're really stepping out of the situation and observing what's going on with big eyes and big ears. And you're going to then put all that new way of learning and being and put it back into person number 1. That's yourself. That's where the change is taking place. So first of all, as you identify that person that you're having difficulty communicating with, I want you to imagine that they're stood in front of you. So you're taking the position of person number 1. And you're looking out through your own eyes, and the other person is stood or sat in front of you. And I just want you to start naming the traits that makes it difficult to communicate. So what is making communication with them so difficult? And you can either explore this in your mind's eye or grab a pen and paper and start to write down those things. Next, I'd like you to explore as you're in person number 1, looking through your own eyes and being yourself and looking at that other person through your own eyes. I want you to explore what you're feeling. What feelings are taking place? Now I'd like you to think about what you're seeing. What can you see as that other person is in front of you? And what are you hearing? What's that other person saying? And also, what are you thinking? What are your internal thoughts as they're in front of you? Great. Okay, now we're going to step into person number 2. So person number 2 is that other person. And I really want you to take that position of that other person that we've just been describing. So I want you to step into their shoes and look through their eyes. And let me know when you're there. And you may want to pause the video until you're in that position and ready to go to the next stage. Okay, so now you're in person number 2's position. You're looking through their eyes, looking at an image of yourself, and you're interacting with that image of yourself. And now I want to ask that question from that other person's point of view. What do you notice that could be making communication with them so difficult? That person that you're interacting with, as you stepped in person number two's shoes, what's making it so difficult to communicate with them? What are they feeling? What's person number two feeling as you can see that communication taking place? What are you seeing as person number one interacts with you? What are you hearing as you're in that person number two's position? The other person, what are you hearing as person number one is in front of you when you're interacting with them? And what's person number two thinking as you're in their shoes? That other person, what are they thinking? Now what I'd like you to do is step into the observer position. And now I'd like you to adopt the role as the observer. You should step away from the situation altogether like a fly on the wall. Step away and just observe the communication between person number one and between person number two. So as you watch that like a fly on the wall from a detached observer position, I want you to say what you now notice about how person number one and person number two are communicating with each other. Just notice what you're noticing. Now what I'd like you to do is explore how person number one and person number two could reach common ground and begin to communicate effectively with one another. As you observe that, how can they start to reach common ground and communicate more effectively? Now what I'd like you to do is say also what you would advise person number one to do. Because this is where you're taking true ownership from that observer point of view, from a different perspective. I'd like you to say what you would advise that person number one to do now. What positive changes can you start to make? Finally, from that observer point of view, when you're ready, I want you to take all that new knowledge that you've gained and just ask that detached observer to be prepared to take all that knowledge and new way of thinking, feeling and behaving and put it back into person number one, yourself. And when you're ready, ask them to step into person number one and just simply notice the difference. Enjoy. Thank you for listening. I've been Jo Rowe, Mental Health Wellness Coach.